Hello and welcome back to Musings. This is Praveena. I'm a video producer and
I'm Arman. I'm the lead of the marketplaces business at MyMuse.
businessman.
Businessman. Also, welcome back. Welcome. First episode only.
Today we're going to be talking about breakups, Arman. Are you ready for this? Do you need some tissue box or something?
I'm more ready than I was for the breakup. But I do think there are some basic rules that you should follow. And these come from the heartache I felt with some terrible breakups that have happened. An example being when I was in college. This was one of my very first relationships that I thought I was like genuinely serious about. And it exposed me to the importance of blatant, direct honesty much later. So this ex-girlfriend of mine, we were dating for about 5 months. First time I was really seriously seeing anyone. The first time I had moved out of a hostel and had my own place and my own room. So this person asks me one day offhand, if I broke up with you, what would you say? What would you do? And I said, see, if the reason was that you're not feeling it anymore, I wouldn't try to force you and I would let you be. I would respect your decision, is what I said. Lo and behold, a week later, she's like, I'm breaking up with you. And I said, why is that? And she said, it's because when I asked you if we break up, what you will do, you said you wouldn't fight for us. I was like, okay, bro. We broke up. Many years later, looking back at it, I realized it was a way to not confront with me face to face that she just lost feelings. And a lot of the time, when you've lost feelings, especially in a short relationship, you don't want to go and tell the person that because yesterday only you were saying, I love you.
Yeah.
I think she thought that she was doing the right thing by not confusing me.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important, even though it's harder in that moment, to be extremely honest and direct with the person
Yeah.
and just say, hey, I'm not feeling it anymore.
Yeah, then it also becomes about that person's feelings and not like something you did wrong.
Yeah.
Like in this case where
It's
she was
escapist.
like,
It's
"You said-"
unfair.
Yeah.
To lie and to figure out excuses. Oh, the long distance isn't working for me. कल तक चल रहा था ना? What changed?
Yeah.
Talk about what changed. And it's usually long distance wasn't working earlier, but I had the energy to deal with it. I'm not feeling it strongly enough anymore to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
Second thing I would say that's very important after honesty and directness is do it sooner rather than later. And this is a learning for me because I always realize much earlier than when I say it out loud. And I usually have a period of almost months where even I'm not clear in my head, this is what I want, and I'm just dilly-dallying and not confronting the facts. Be honest with yourself. And the moment you know, let the other person know what's on your mind.
Yeah.
So that
It's
if
only
there
fair.
is something that's fixable, both of you can work on it. Otherwise, set the person free, bro. Especially in your 20s.
If you love them, set them free. If they love you, they will come back or some
And
deep
even if you don't want them to come back, set them free. Because especially in your 20s,
Yeah.
because it's a very important time of life. You're taking away years that they could spend exploring. Let them spend those years.
Yeah.
Don't take that time away, Arman.
I do relate to the thing that you said about almost making up your mind much before you actually talk to them, because that happened to me as well. I almost had, and this was someone I was dating for a very long time, like 5 years into it. You don't think there is any filter with them. You would think there is no filter. But then I had like a relationship Praveena and then like Praveena. Because in the relationship Praveena, it was almost like I would be like happy and
Was
like
this long distance?
yeah, it was. For
Happens.
yeah, and I would just realize that I would be like depressed as and I would pick up the call and I'd be like, oh my god, hi. Over time, it just developed into me hating myself in this relationship. And when we broke up, the one thing I said to him, which is why he couldn't even like argue with that, was I said, I'm not happy anymore. I'm not myself anymore. I'm not happy anymore. Do what you will with that information. And he was like, maybe you can try this. And I'm like, no, I'm fine when I'm by myself. I'm not happy in this relationship.
That's quite sad.
That's very brutal. And that's why, like, and that's, you're saying that to someone you genuinely do love
And care about.
and have loved, you know? So it was hard for me to say that, but you should also realize that when someone is expressing such a, you know, harsh reality of things to you, it means that one, took them hell lot of courage to say that in the first place, and secondly, they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't feel it extremely, feel extremely strong about it.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't just come say that they're not happy if they didn't genuinely dread being in the situation that they are in.
This is reminding me of something, which can be another point for how not to break up, is don't break up right before Valentine's Day. Do it earlier. That's why I was talking about do it sooner rather than later. I'm realizing now, because I would keep dilly-dallying. 2 breakups have happened very close to Valentine's Day for me now, because usually when that's coming up, you're like, I can't lie on Valentine's Day. And there's always
is
some
it?
plan for it.
Maybe it's that you're reevaluating things around Valentine's Day.
It wasn't that for me.
No. Okay.
I kind of knew, but I had to really confront it, because on Valentine's, you can't be lying about this crap. So 2 breakups have happened. One on the 11th of Feb, one on the 13th of Feb.
Can I just add, not just Valentine's Day, birthdays.
Birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Days. Just avoid these when you feel it. Please go and do it immediately. Don't wait for these occasions, because then forever, even today when I get a drunk text, the conversation of, bro, you were the person who broke up with me right before Valentine's Day. I spent Valentine's Day alone crying about a breakup. Don't do that to a person. And another thing, is if you're on the receiving end of a breakup, it is a thing that's happening to you. Yes, it is terrible for you. Yes, but very important to keep in mind, as you said, that the other person, if they're breaking up with you, they've at some level done this because they respect you and they care about you and they want to save you more hurt. If you kind of remember that, it can make it easier to not turn it into a very harsh, fighty conversation that you regret later.
See, we say all these things because I feel like we genuinely have good intentions, but not every breakup is like that. Not every breakup is mature and like level-headed and like, oh yeah, I'm being honest and saving the person. That's not how they're gonna register it.
Yeah.
They're like, you wasted a year of my life. I don't want to have this conversation with you. I saw this going, you know, a long way, but you are the one cutting it short. And sometimes you don't break up because there's anything wrong. Sometimes you're just like, you're young and doing something stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
What was the
why.
worst breakup you had?
Yeah, so it was a long distance relationship, and it was the worst timing ever because it was through COVID. And he was living in Bombay. I had just gone back to Chennai because of COVID. I'm like, I'm not going to pay Mumbai rent. So it just made sense for me to move back. And we started out as like a very casual thing, and then we slowly developed feelings for each other. And through it all, I felt like we lived completely different lifestyles. Like, I was more like staying safe and staying home through COVID, and he was a travel vlogger almost. And also, I realized like his best friend of like 14, 15 years had feelings for him. And he was in denial about it. I'm like, it's so obvious. How are you not seeing it? And then he went and like casually asked her, yo, like, you know, do you have feelings for me? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, how blind are you? Anyway, so the breakup was such that I just told him, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Because I was so exhausted from him disappearing on me. Like, he would go on trips, and this is COVID. Why are you going on trips to begin with? But that's a whole other issue. He was going on trips and he would disappear for like 3-4 days, and he'll just be like, hey, how are you? I'm like, don't how are you me after not talking to me like for 4 days straight. And at that point, I was so frustrated that I was just like, I'm done. I'm going to cut this off. And I didn't give him a space to even express how he feels, which I feel shitty about. But at the time, this is what I mean by like when you are breaking up with someone, you don't have the bandwidth to always consider the other person's feelings. And that's when you do the move of calling shots and being like, I have decided I'm going to end this, which is not the most respectful thing to do. Which I realize that now because he was a friend. But at the same time, I was like, I'm done. And then just like cut him off, blocked him, disappeared. And I was like, how's that disappearing now on you? How's that feeling? But it's such a thing to do when I realized that.
Another interesting thing is breaking up in relationships versus breaking up with your casual dating folks. You're seeing someone for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
you've seen each other a few times. I find that more awkward.
I find that so easy
Really?
because I never give them hope. When we get into it, I'm like, yo, this is the deal. We're both human beings here. We all have wants and needs, and let's see how this goes. But I'm not like invested. I'm not putting my time into this like like I'm not getting into a relationship with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
You do that.
Not in those words, but much nicer.
Even I do that. But once you meet a person a few times and you realize, I don't want to again.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Explaining that to them, I find very, very awkward because it's like with someone you've been with for a while, they kind of know where you're coming from. With
So you
someone
wanna role play a guy?
No, please no. I don't
I
want
always push you into this
to
role.
publicly, nationally, internationally expose.
No. So what I do is I'll just meet them for coffee or beer or something, and I'll just be like, "Hey, I know we had a great time, and it's been like smooth up until now, and I really like your vibe, but I think chemistry or like commitment is not something that's in the picture right now. So we can still hang out and kick it whenever like we're free, but I don't see this going anywhere. Do you feel differently?" And then if they do, they'll let you know. And sometimes they'll have feelings and you don't have feelings. I feel like that's when it gets tricky because you don't want to shit on anyone who has.
That's more what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Because you meet a few times, even though you've clarified, and it usually happens. Do not judge me, but this usually happens when there's a larger age gap. So if you're 30 and you're dating someone 23, 24,
Right.
then even though you said, Hanji, this is very casual on my end, if the person does develop feelings, he'll share it with you. And even though it was clear in the initial phases of it, if you haven't, it has become a problem in the past.
I've never dated anyone younger than me because I'm just like, I don't got time to teach you anything, bro.
I have been at a bar, walking around, about to leave, and I opened the door to go walk into the washroom on the inside part of the bar. Opened the door, someone right in front of me screamed, "You're Arman with the white hair." And I was like, "Yes, who are you?" Grabbed her, took her to the side, and I was like, "Who do you know?" And she was like, "I know XYZ. And she's told me all about you guys." And I was like, "I didn't know there is stuff to tell about us guys." She knew Arman. She had never seen me before. She just recognized white hair, this guy. I know who this is.
But what was
And
it
all
about?
my friends gathered around me. And from that day onwards, just because the girl was kind of young, I was Pedo Arman.
Oh my god. Let's just censor that shit.
I've maybe dated, but not even dated, just gone out 3 to 4 times out of many with people who are more than 5 years younger than me. And always above the age of 21, 22. Always.
Yeah,
The
I
age
don't
gap
think
was
we
never
needed
more.
clarity there.
Yeah, no, I need to clarify.
One would assume.
I need to clarify. But because your friends need what? One instance.
Yeah.
They found out once and they were like, "How many people have you dated of this age?" And I was like, 1 or 2. And they know my dating stats, at least broadly. But no, still, Pedo Arman.
I don't get the appeal
Of?
dating someone younger. I mean, maybe you click and you click, that's it. But
that's
then
not
once
how-
I know they're younger, I'm like, I didn't sign up for babysitting.
That's not.
I want to have a good time.
I think,
not...
yeah, no one's dating anyone because they're younger.
No. I just mean like emotionally the maturity. Maybe it's different with guys. Women just come with knowledge. They're like,
No, I agree on that part.
Yeah.
Which is why, with someone who's closer to my age, or at least mature age-wise, like thought process-wise,
yeah.
I'm still open to something a little more serious. With younger folks, now though I don't date younger folks. Since this Peter Arman thing started, it's become just.
I mean, younger
legal.
now is still older. Right? They'll be
Depends
like
on how-
27, 25. Is still younger, but
Depends on how young.
they have
That
brain cells.
22 to 25 age range not open to anymore
Oh.
because
Did you change your Bumble
there
range?
is so much you're yet to see about the world. Most of the time, you
That's
barely
the
started
problem.
working, right? And so I'm always clear that this is only going to be casual. And the second thing that happens when there's a huge age gap, which I found, is it's too easy to gaslight people. And you could be the nicest person on the planet, but because you come from a place of, I know a lot more about the world than you end up being the more dominant person, and it's just unfair on the other person. So
I think
actually dating someone, I don't think it's very tough.
Yeah. I think age difference makes sense when you're a little bit older.
No offense to Milan's woman.
But they're much older. That's what I mean. Like when you're a little older, and then even a 10-year gap wouldn't seem like much because, like you said, they've had experiences. They have their own opinions.
Yes.
My fear with being someone younger is that I'm not as cool as you think. You meet other 27-year-olds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know who's out there, and you just like go with one person because you maybe find their lifestyle to be exciting, or
Yeah.
they are exciting as a person initially, but then there's so much depth that you get to know after, like, you're intimate with someone, like you've known them for a few months, and then all my baggage comes to surface level, and they'll be like, I didn't
You
sign up
start
for
feeling,
that.
do you feel like this person's into the things about me that are just a factor of how old and boring I am, and not boring?
I was thinking the opposite. They
Like,
probably
whatever.
I
They're
mean,
into
we are
aspects of
generalizing this
me.
quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
So to summarize, if you're going to break up with someone, one, be respectful and direct. Two, know that the other person's going through something tough if you're on the receiving end. Three, do it sooner rather than later, and avoid Valentine's Day, birthdays, anniversaries. Actually, make that point one. It's the most important one. It's going to save you a lot of trouble.
They don't
Right.
wake up every Valentine's Day hating you.
Exactly. You just, it's just the quickest route to making one day a day that they're just going to sit every year and curse the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. और भी फिर की
என்னடா என்ன சும்மா சும்மா ஹிந்தியில் பேசுகிற, நான் தமிழில் பேச ஆரம்பிச்சிடுவான். சரி, Start பண்ணலாமா?
ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ ಓಕೆ
what language is that?
ಕನ್ನಡ.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to speak it. Then I started trying to speak it after I learned French, and I would try to speak Kannada, but French would come out.
You know, you can speak French.
Of course.
Speak.
Je peux parler français assez couramment. Ça fait un peu de temps que je suis rentré en Inde, mais je peux parler.
Je m'appelle Praveena.